hope you're not having too hard of a time, but if you feel like you don't know how to get your life together, which is kind of how I feel right now, this video will help us. Sometimes you just need a little bit of that reminder. So we are gonna get the basic stuff out of the way, because you could think of these really intelligent ways to solve your problems, and I do this a lot, but sometimes it really is just the basics. And I know that sleeping and getting enough rest is the most important thing you can do for your health. When you've gotten enough sleep and you get consistent sleep over a period of time, it all builds up and things start to get better because you start remembering things, you start being more aware of like the little things that make you happy, and you can deal with problems better. So sometimes, even though I hate to tell myself that my problems aren't that complicated, sometimes I just need to remember that it is and can be a little more simple. Sometimes I hear improve and it makes me feel like I need to change everything, because I feel like people who talk about self-improvement really have this ideal routine or ideal mindset or ideal something, and I just feel like sometimes it's a little out of reach and doesn't really resonate with like what I'm going through. So sometimes I have to remind myself that it's not about seeking out into the world what I need to change about myself. Like sometimes it is just about looking at what I have and trying to find ways to improve those things just a little bit. And yes, it is true that that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of thinking, but I think it's been helping me slowly improve my life rather than just listening to random pieces of advice. But like, of course I fall back on that because yesterday I got the sudden urge to like start reading a book every day, which is definitely like, I definitely do not want to do that, nor do I have time to do that. So I don't know why I felt this urge so strongly, but again, I was in such a down mindset about myself and about life that I was like, maybe I just need to change all these things. Like maybe I just need to change my schedule and how I'm like managing work and how I'm managing like working out and cooking and eating and like changing all these things. But I feel like I get excited by that. Like, oh, here's this big goal and here's all these things that I'm gonna be doing. But in reality, it's so overwhelming to think of all of the things I have to do that I can't actually do it. So we have to work with what we have in front of ourselves and just start thinking about like, is there a way I could improve this? Think about how you're doing it now and don't think about like unraveling the whole thing. Sometimes adding stuff into your life makes you feel more motivated in general. Like I remember there have been periods of time where I'm just like, I'm so busy right now that I can't hang out with my friends. Like I don't have time to. But sometimes adding in those like things that don't seem like they are essential to your life really are there to make you feel more motivated about doing the rest of life that kind of sucks. But I feel like when things are tough, I just feel the stress to like change everything and like start new things. But I really just need to sit down and do whatever I need to do and like just get it done. I've been trying to get on a new exercise routine because I just don't feel like I have one at the moment. And these past few days, I've really been like, oh my gosh, I should like just start doing things like that I would do when I was like at peak athleticism or whatever. But I think like setting that expectation was way too high for me because I just felt so bad. After I worked out today, I literally felt terrible because I was like, that was pointless and I didn't do anything and that wasn't like a good enough workout. And I feel like I think that way when I'm under a lot of stress or a lot of things are happening in my brain, rather than just be like, what do I look like right now? What is my exercise routine right now? Which kind of has been nothing. So it's really hard to go from nothing to doing what you were doing at the peak of whatever activity that was. So now I'm starting to think that, you know, maybe I have to start with where I am now and just add in a little bit. I don't need to go to the gym for 2 hours, which is what I did this morning. I should just go for a little bit of time and just keep building up. Like just improve what I already have and not try to jump, because that jump made me feel really discouraged. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm worried I won't go to the gym tomorrow because I felt like I had such a hard time. And I feel like that feeling is avoidable if I didn't think that I could if I didn't think that I needed to do so much. Whatever small thing you could think of, like go smaller. So like give yourself the small wins that you can be confident about before just like jumping to whatever you think doing the most is. Another good do is prioritize what you're working with. So we all have so many different components of our life. Like there's family, there's friends, there's our health, which is also our mental health, physical health, and spiritual health, and our finances and education if you're in school, and like your job if you're in a job. Like there's just so many parts of life that all come together on you. And sometimes it is just too much. And even knowing your priorities in that moment is just not enough because there's literally so much to do. So sometimes when I really am pressured, I can't think about like, oh, I have these things going on. What should I prioritize right now? Like it doesn't cross my mind because it's just so like, go, 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 do whatever. But I feel like sometimes I need to sit down and think about how I am prioritizing just the little things, the everyday things. When I am feeling like things are tough and I'm having a hard time, whatever comes to my desk, I will address, even if it's the smallest things. If my friend texts me and they're like, can you help me with this? I will jump and do that. Even though I'm in the middle of something else. Like anything that needs attention, I will just be bouncing around. And sometimes that is so unhelpful because I'm just being distracted from what I need to do. And I saw this in a book. It is how urgent a task is and how important it is to you. And it really, really helps like put things into perspective about like how should I be like prioritizing things, because at that point, if you're thinking about it and you're going through the list, then you know that what you are doing was the right thing to do. Whereas like if like how I am today, like just kind of accepting things as they come, like that was not satisfying because I didn't do the things that I needed to do today, which is the most frustrating part of this. Like when times get tough, I feel like I just don't do what I'm supposed to do because I'd rather do everything else. Like I'd rather avoid it altogether. So that is something that helps ground me in actual practice of like prioritizing what I need to do and just putting some attention towards that and being confident in my decisions. My biggest don't with how to improve your life as it is right now is to not try to multitask. Similar to like not trying to do too many things, like don't try to knock two birds down with one stone. Sometimes I feel like when I'm multitasking in like these kinds of situations where I'm just having a hard time managing my life, I miss both birds with one stone. Like nothing gets done. So I feel like just honing in on that and being like, okay, I just need to do one thing at a time so I can actually do that one thing helps a lot more. And I usually like prioritize that as being like the most important thing. The biggest don't I have for when things are tough is don't compare yourself, because when times are tough, it is the easiest time to compare yourself. Because like for me at least, my like brain defenses get down and I'm like anything I see, I'm like, I'm gonna compare myself to that. And that is just a complete distraction, to be honest, and inevitable to be on social media and like compare yourself to the things that you see on there, whether it's the lifestyle you're living or what you look like or the things that you have. I would say like try to catch yourself when you can, because none of that is going to contribute to you improving your life. A lot of it just becomes daydreaming slash putting yourself down. But also on the note, I feel like whenever I bring up comparing yourself to other people like on social media or on the street, I also will say, do not compare yourself to the person that you were yesterday or the person that you were like 10 years ago. You are not even better than yourself. That is something that I have been trying to get used to, because I feel like I always tell myself like, yeah, at least I'm doing better than I was before, but I've started to realize that that is also not very helpful. It's kind of just like a facade to make me feel better about myself or worse about myself. Like, oh my gosh, like, why can't I do this now? I could do this last week. Like, it's a different situation. Things happen, it's okay. And all of that comparison, sometimes I feel like I just need to let go of, especially during these times, because I feel like all I can think about is how to compare myself to other people and compare myself to past me. Like with the athleticism thing, I was like, I don't even measure up to the person I was, so am I even getting better? Which is a complete distraction of a question, but that will take me down a rabbit hole, and that is not the point. Like all I need right now is to do small things to lift myself up, and that is going to improve my life more than any of these like big thoughts. Another mini don't is to don't force yourself. If it feels like you're forcing yourself that badly, I would take a step back and be like, why am I doing that? And does that even make sense? Because sometimes I force myself to do things that I think are gonna be good for me, but I don't really need in my life. Like, not to turn anyone away from meditation, but for example, I think like a few years ago, I was having like a pretty hard period of time in my life, and I was like convinced that if I got good at meditating, which isn't even a thing, like I thought that if I forced myself to meditate every single day, that all of my life problems were gonna fix. But then I started realizing that like I literally had to force myself to meditate. Like it was bad. Like I would just sit there and for minutes and minutes just try to gaslight myself into thinking that this was gonna be good for me and this was gonna help my life, but it like wasn't, and everything felt so forced. Even if it's a good thing that you could be doing in your life, if it feels like you have to try that hard, I would just like reverse and think about like why you actually decided to do that in the first place, because maybe that wasn't the best thing to be doing. Just remember that you are doing the best that you can do. Like just remind yourself that, like do the best that you can do with what you have, and don't let anyone tell you that you're not doing enough, because you probably are. And if you're having a hard time, there's only so much you can do. Like when things get really tough, I feel like I'm the type of person to ask my friends like, what do you think I should do? Should I do this or that? Or should I do this or should I not do this? But it's like not my decision, because like I feel incapable of making decisions, but I really just need to get in my own bubble, like maybe write things down and just like think about it, because the decision I make for myself is going to be better than the decision someone else makes for me. And I feel like that is such a big do listen to yourself. Okay, so I hope that you got something out of this video. I feel like these reminders were really good for me to talk out as well, as a really fast recap through the whole thing. Get the basics down: sleep, food, water, and some movement. Get the basics down. Once you're past that, just believe in yourself. Think about what you need to do. Do those things. Be confident in that. Don't be distracted by what everyone else is doing. Like, focus on what you need to focus on. The answers are all right there with you. Don't listen to anyone else. Literally, don't even listen to me. Like, you probably know, you know way more about yourself than I do. But I hope that this was a reminder for you. I hope this video made you feel a little relaxed and a little like you got it, because you do. So, alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks, Cam.